Morning, everyone. YouTube viewer or slash subscriber had asked in the comments about looking for his first trike, suspension or no suspension. So I said that's a very big question to cover on texting and in the comments. So I said I'd make a video. I did give him a little bit of an answer, short answer to it, and we'll share that here and expand on that a little bit because it's such a large topic. And I'll kind of answer that with at the end of the day, and then we'll go into more detail. This is going to be the short answer, is whenever you're going to do something big wheel, whatever the topic may be, short crank, long crank, big wheel, little crank, suspension, non-suspension, hard shell seat, soft shell seat. It's always best for you to test it, and then you make a final decision. Compare a hard shell seat to a soft shell seat. Can't speak very well this morning. Same with suspension. For me personally, this bike, the Catrike 700 with 50 millimeter tires on it at 45 PSI, handles 75% of what I'm riding, dulls the bumps on the bigger ones, and pretty much eliminates the little debris as far as I'm concerned. So it does what it needs to do for me. I have no real health issues besides Parkinson's. My back's good and joints and all that work good on me, and not having too many issues in that regard, no pain. So just lack of shaking and different things going on with my Parkinson's. So that's it, and then you make an intelligent decision on that. But I do want to elaborate on some of the things that will add with stuff. So if you go out and you test ride a rigid bike such as mine here, and it's got 25 millimeter tires and they're pumped up to 125 PSI, well, you're going to hate the ride and you're going to probably want to buy a suspension bike. Now you come ride my bike and I have 45 PSI in the front, and depending on the size of the tire, 2-inch tire, I might have 30 PSI in it. And you're going to ride it and you're going to think that's wonderful. So it depends on the setup. So try things different ways. So if you already have a bike, try larger tires and lower the pressure. Also, thinner gauge spokes have a little more give and flex in them. A bigger wheel, longer spokes will be more comfortable. I'm not a fan of that on a bike. I like the 16 and 20-inch wheels on trikes. I just think it adds to that low race car, nimble handling, very precise feeling you get out of small wheels, and that's why I tend to run them on my trikes, and that's my personal preference, because this 700 comes with a 700C on the back, but I find it goes everywhere which way but straight. So that's why I've switched to the smaller wheels. Yes, it does throw the geometry out. So that's things that add comfort. Also a carbon rim, which is what I have on the back here. It really doesn't matter too much on the dimensions. The deeper the dish usually, or the thicker the carbon this way. This is like a 35 millimeter tall rim there on this one. So carbon fiber, again, different material in the way it's built, dampens. So if you take something and you tap on the side of this, like your fingernail, it has a real wooden, dull sound. So that's dampening the trail debris, the cracks, on the pavement, and I can definitely tell when I'm riding the carbon rim most of the time over alloy rim. Alloy rim is a little more rigid, and you get a little more impact out of it. Also, a thinner rim that's not as deep dish will usually have a little more give potentially. So there's all kinds of factors. How thick your tire is, the casing on it, 120 thread count, has a lot more more supple and rolls over debris better on the trail. So multitude of factors, and I'm not, it'd take me probably 3, 6, 8 hours to discuss every one and bring that up. So, but I did want to, kind of update. I didn't think I had a video out about suspension, non-suspension. A little bit about me. I've been cycling for about 35, 40 years. Mountain bike, road, you name it, recumbents, all 2-wheel, 3-wheel, pretty avid rider, done a few races and stuff, tend to ride on the aggressive side, so that's kind of my background. Started mountain biking in the 80s, that was before suspension. And then the first or second year I rode, RockShox come out with the Mag 21. So I'm very well versed. I've had probably 50 mountain bikes, coil shock, fully adjustable, air shock, Fox, RockShox, 6 inches of travel, 8 inches of travel, elastomer, flex pivot where the frame tubing flexes, or it's got like a leaf spring, you name it, I've had it. Plus I've also, for about 20 years, I've motorcycled ride ATVs, so I've had 12, 13 inches of suspension travel, KTMs, race bikes. So I'm by no means like an expert, know-it-all on suspension, but I'm just trying to point out that I do have experience. So I would say this bike, as it sets up, probably gives you a 1/4 to 1/2 inch suspension feel. So it kind of dulls the bumps on the stuff. So, and a lot of bikes, a buddy of mine has an ice trike, and he has, I think an inch and a half of travel or something, but it's elastomer, and I don't find it much of any better than what I've got. And in fact, it flexes and pivots and kind of, there's an old saying in mountain biking, or even in, especially mountain biking, because when suspension come out, everybody was crazy about it, and there was a saying, I'd rather have no suspension than crappy or bad suspension, because suspension adds weight, complexity if you don't know how to adjust it, or it's non-adjustable. It just opens up another layer of potential problems. So it's not everybody thinks, well, suspension is great, and it is and can be, but it's also expensive, adds weight and things like that. Now, one of the better trikes that I had looked into and would somewhat be interested is the Catrike Wild one. Again, to me, suspension is 3, 4 inches of track. Anything technically is suspension. I've got dampening. I call this kind of dampening, where you just use the different materials and air pressure. And so I'm losing my train of thought here for you, but anyhow, but the Catrike Wild one, it has coil, oil dampen. I think it's 4 inches front and back. It's pretty impressive. That's one of the most true suspension trikes on the market. There's maybe 2 or 3, Outrider. There's always more coming on, but Catrike, a wild one. It's been out for, I don't know, 8, 10, 15 years, but you should check that out. But again, it's trikes are about 45, 50 pounds with suspension, which may or may not be an issue for you. I obviously, if you have electric, it's a little less of an issue in propelling it. But if you ever get to ride one, which I rode my buddies, it's quite impressive of what it will run over. I ran over a 4-inch parking block in a parking lot, and it pretty much almost did, you know, you felt it, but you didn't think much about it. I could hit one of them parking blocks at 20, 30 miles an hour and wouldn't hesitate too much to do so. So that's how impressive the action on that bike is. Now, of course, like his ice trike, which he owns, with the elastomer, I pretty much, you know, have to slow down, and I could, you know, gently try to roll over it. But if you hit it, it'd pretty much be like this bike here, a rigid bike. You would have quite a big bounce and probably be thrown off your bike. So even though that bike's technically a suspension bike, but with the amount of travel and the elastomer, it's a minimalist or very outdated suspension bike in my opinion. They had elastomer ProFlex model out in the 80s, early 90s, I think. Sometime in the 90s, I believe. And so, yeah, they use that, and that's pretty much not really used on mountain bikes. Mountain bikes have become like motorcycles anyhow, and nowadays they're quite sophisticated. So that's kind of my 2 cents. You know, test it, think about what you're riding, what you need, what works for you, because what works for me, in my opinion, I'm just here trying to share what I know or think about things, and then, you know, to try to help you all. But I would highly recommend testing and evaluating for yourself before you run out and take my word for it or another guy's word for it, and you know, go use. But I would look long and hard at just for your first trike. Again, that was his question. I would probably stick with a rigid one and just modify it as I've done. Put a little bit bigger tires the first step, lower the pressure, and go that route, versus getting a suspension bike and it's you've never had one before and you're trying to tune it. It's quite a bit heavier, and if it's not set up, it just adds so much complexity to it, another layer of complexity if you don't have the money, or he stated he wasn't near a shop to give you assistance. So I think that just makes it much more difficult if you don't know, you know, you haven't had a bike before and you're not near a shop, and you have all this extra things to deal with, not only trying to pedal a bike that may weigh 35 pounds. Now with suspension, it's 45, 50. And if you don't know how to adjust suspension or make sure it's set up correctly, then, you know, it's not going to ride or work well for you. So, but that's my time on that. Again, thanks for all the new subscribers, and getting quite a few views. So the channel's growing, and we appreciate it here, me and Rosie. And I think that's about it. So if you have any comments or questions, feel free to shoot them out there, and I'll either try to get back to them best I can, and or if I think it warrants a video such as this comment did, I will try to shoot out another video, so as long as I can. So I'm, like I said, kind of phasing out of the biking. If you haven't been following the channel, we're kind of leaning towards going to the Philippines or planning there. The house is up for sale. starting to sell off some of the bike stuff. And so that's where we're heading towards. So it'll be limited in the future on what I can show you and do with that. So thanks for everybody for watching, and take care and have a great day. Talk to you later.